Hey, Kristen. I'm glad to hear that you came up with an idea for your experiment already. And it sounds like an awesome one. And I hope, in addition to with your experiments, guys, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for my ruler over here. Say hi to Harold, by the way. In addition to your paperwork, you guys all have my email address. Hey, Nico. I think it would be cool if you guys used your cell phones or your, well, probably your cell phones or even your tablets to take pictures of your projects and send them to my email, which is listed at the top of that. Hey, Cadence. Glad to have you guys here. Hey, before we get started, I wanted to give you a little update on success and failure. So I'll show you a little bit of failure first. I told you science is trial and error, right? Here is this plant that we've been working on. These are the 2 celery stalks, and let me adjust this a little bit. We've got 2. We've got this one over here, which seems to be pretty healthy, and that one over there, which is about 90 to 95% dead, and it's not going to make it. So sometimes we do have successes and failures in experiments, and we learn from those failures. Do I know what went wrong with that yet? Not really, but I'm thinking that the roots were, that the base of it was too wet, too damp, and didn't get a chance to grow properly. So in the meantime, like I said, one of the things that we would be doing if we were at school would be to get measurements. We are at about 5 1/4 inches of growth on this. Okay, that's about, I think, about the same as it was when we measured it last week, but it is healthy. It's nice and green. It's pretty healthy, and so I'm happy about that. And we'll have to look up online for some instructions on how to keep that plant as healthy as possible. We got some water here. And now let me show you another little plant that's a success. My wife and I got all kinds of experiments going on. This is a little sunflower, okay? Again, this we just planted. It's been less than 2 weeks. If a plant gets enough sunlight, it's going to grow with a good, strong stem like that. If it doesn't get enough sunlight, it's going to have a super thin neck, what we call being too leggy and not being healthy. This is a pretty good, pretty healthy plant. If we push that upwards, that leaf upwards, in a couple of weeks, we're at 7 1/2 inches. This is a sunflower plant. These are great for a number of reasons. One is you can eat the sunflowers, right? You can eat the seeds. Excuse me. The other is they attract birds. You're feeding wildlife, and bees. They're great for bees. And they just make you happy. Other thing about these, we talk about plants being alive. It is really cool. You will actually, if you have sunflowers, if you can grow sunflowers somewhere in a nice sunny spot, many of the varieties of sunflowers, they will react to sunlight. They will lift up and open up. They might even follow the sun around, but they react differently in daytime and nighttime, and that's really cool. to be able to observe that. Okay, get rid of some of the dirt that's on the counter. So if you're doing an experiment with plants, which is one of the awesome ones to do, it'd be really cool for you guys to have pictures of that stuff too. I like the idea of using different amounts of water or different makeup of the water to see how things react, different soils. Remember, you have to have only one variable in an experiment for it to be somewhat legit. If we change two things, if we have 3 specimens and one gets a certain amount of water, and I think you should be consistent with how much water you're using if you're doing something like a plant, that you're using the same amount of water every day or every 2 days, and that you're measuring growth. You can use a ruler to measure growth. Okay. If you don't have a ruler, you can actually find one online and print it off, and you'll have a paper ruler. There is, you can use a piece of paper, which is 8.5 by 11, and literally make marks on the paper as a guide. You can make your own rulers. You can do a lot of things, right? Be creative. I happen to have a ruler. I can measure how much water I'm putting into something. Be consistent. Don't have a bunch of variables in an experiment. Other things you can do could be with parental guidance, boiling points, freezing points. You can do something with plants, like I said. Anything with light. Be creative. Do what you can to come up with stuff. Now tap water. Are you using tap water? Are you using distilled water? Are you using water with fertilizer in it? Sugar water, salt water? Hopefully not. And you'll get some good ideas. If you have no idea what to do for an experiment, I can work with you. Food coloring is another good one. We've done experiments in the past with adding food coloring to food and doing blindfold taste tests and trying to determine if there's a difference between food prepared with food color and food that's not. Preparing foods with different spices, and who's got liquid nitrogen lying around the house? I like that. Preparing foods with different spices and doing a blind taste test, trying to determine. Those would be cool things to do. Remember the scientific method. The first thing you're going to do is ask a question. What comes after asking a question? I think I drank my drink. I'm thirsty. First thing you do, ask a question. Next thing you do is figure out what you know. We call no answers. Doing background research, okay. We can do that by asking an expert. If I tell you who's really awesome at working through the lab procedures, that when we do these scientific methods, is Mr. Fosnight. Why is he an expert? Because he worked in a lab for a number of years, and that was his area of expertise. So everybody, you can ask an expert. everybody has an expertise in something, even if it is loafing around like Harold back there. And the next thing, we'll get to that point. Hold on to that thought, Tristan. After you do ask your question, right? You can't do an experiment until you're going, my question. So, Tristan, I want you to think about what is my question right so that my experiment represents my question, or so that my question represents my experiment, okay? Background research, ask an expert, use what's in your own brains, get on the computer, do some research. Once you have all that, then you construct your hypothesis. Okay, we talked about that. I believe that if I have 3 samples, I believe that sample number 1 is going to do the best because... Why did you come to that conclusion? All right, now you're talking about testing your hypothesis. And if I misspell anything, I apologize, but because I'm not good at multitasking. This is where you do what you're talking about, Tristan. Do it multiple times to get an accurate result. If I take this ball and throw it and it lands in a circle, would I say every time I throw this ball it's going to land in that 2-foot circle? Well, you can't just assume that something's going to happen because it happened once. You repeat you repeat and you repeat and you repeat until you're sure that the result you're getting is accurate. This is going on all over the world right now with this COVID-19 that is keeping us apart. There's doctors, and doctors are scientists, that are doing research all over the world and trying to figure out what is going to work as treatment to help patients that have the coronavirus. And so there's 2 ways of looking at things. One is, can I take a shot? I have a thing over here, but can I get a shot in the arm that's a vaccine that'll prevent me to get it? Or are there treatments or therapies that'll help me get better once I have it? And right now we're talking about therapies, and there's all kinds of experiments going on all over the country, all over the world, try to keep people alive. And so they need to make sure that they're not doing 5 different things at once. In other words, if they're giving 1,000 patients medicine, are they all getting the same exact medicine? Are they some getting it, some are not? Are they have variations in what they're getting? And so getting those consistent results is super, super important. That's why you do it multiple times to get an accurate result, as Tristan said. Okay. One of the big things I keep saying is you miss is recording your data. So if let's say you're growing a plant, each day you're going out there, you're recording how much sunlight a plant's getting, maybe, how much water you're using, how much growth the plant is getting, the color of the plant. Is it good, healthy green? Does it look like it's dying? So you can make observations. Remember, observations is how we go about analyzing the data. And you need to record it on logs. A simple piece of paper, writing information on a piece of paper day by day is simple enough for what we're doing. Analyzing your data, and the last thing is, from that data you draw a conclusion. Was I right? Was I wrong? You guys are going to have your hypothesis up front. This is really common when people are doing experiments. They don't really write their hypothesis out ahead of time, and they do their experiment. And when they get done, they say, oh, this is what happened. Okay, that's what my hypothesis was. My hypothesis was what the results were. So wait, so do we have to do a specific type of experiment? Yes. You're going to follow the scientific method, follow the project timeline that I'm going to assign to you guys, and you're going to choose what you're going to do. That means I want you to pick something that's of interest to you, something to do with food, flowers, freezing points, boiling points if you have supervision. You have to get approval before you do anything, because I want to make sure you're not doing anything stupid or dangerous, or it's not going to get the result that you want. And so, yes, this is your kind of your big project from here to the end of the year. You'll be doing some other miscellaneous stuff in between that'll be kind of light, but I want this to be more of a project. Okay. Remember, we always try to reiterate scientific method by you guys doing a project. And Cadence, I don't know if you remember, in the beginning of the year, Mr. Fawcett was asking about listing their instructions. You'll be getting one of these. This is a project timeline, okay? And it has all the steps of what you've done. Have you written your hypothesis? When you're doing an experiment, real quick, because we're running out of time pretty quick. I'm doing an experiment. Okay, what materials do I need? Okay, let's say that I'm going to plant some plants. Okay, I need some soil, some potting soil. I need a pot. I need some seeds. I need a thermometer. I'm going to measure the temperature. I need a ruler. I'm going to measure the growth. I need a place where I can do this that's got plenty of sunlight. Check, check, check. You're checking. That's what your materials list is. I need my eyeballs to measure. I need paper. I need pencil. What else do I need? So you make a materials list of everything you need. And then you actually write out your procedures, okay? Now, it is okay to get an idea off the internet, as long as there's not a pre-drawn conclusion. A lot of times what I tell you is, if you find an idea, take it and make it your own. How can I change it to, this is a pretty cool idea, how can I change it to make it my own? Especially if I look at it and I already know what the conclusion is. That's just, if you already know what the conclusion is going to be, that's an exhibition, not an experiment. Experiment, you have a question that you need to answer. You guys should understand this at this point. I will post these as guides for you, okay? Steps of the scientific method, the project timeline, which we've gone over, numerous times, 6th grade, 7th grade, and we'll do it again in 8th grade, okay? And so that's the putting everything together there for you, okay? So what your assignment is going to be really at this point, I'll post these today, is deciding what you're going to do, sending me either an email or message me in Google Classroom and saying, this is what my experiment's going to be, and get approval, okay, and then start working on the various steps. This is a lot of independent work that you could be doing with a family member, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, grandmother, grandfather, and I hope it's set up that it's something that you can learn. And maybe that's why I like what you're doing so much, Tristan, is because I think you're really gonna learn something, right? And I'm always learning stuff. I'm going to be posting a video on my YouTube channel of what I got going on in the greenhouse. And every year we do something different in our greenhouse that we're goofing around and experimenting with. One of the most interesting things, when I went on a trip a couple years ago, we were down in Virginia and we went to Monticello, Thomas Jefferson's plantation. One of the most interesting things was how many experiments that he did with plants. It's the last thing you would think of when you think of a president, but he was really a farmer, and so he was always experimenting with different varieties of plants. Those are skills that you take with you for the rest of your life, and questions on this, and a lot of clarifications that are going to be needed. So don't be afraid to ask, and understand that experiments don't always work out. Okay, sometimes you learn by getting the wrong answer. Why did this one die? Why is this one healthy? I haven't even figured that out yet, but I have that question, and I would like to know the answer to it. And so don't stop asking questions and have fun with this. Don't be burdened by it. Have fun with it. Before I go, any questions? It's 11:27. I will be posting some other small things probably on Thursday that are not based on the scientific methods or other stuff that we need to learn. I hope you guys have a great day and see you all soon. Peace out. I have not gotten a haircut, Tristan. Actually, my hair is getting really long. You ask that just about every time. Hair's getting really long, actually. There's no haircut places open. All of our hairs are getting long. So the only thing I can keep trimmed with is my mustache and goatee. So see you guys soon.